Hello, and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. Though I say that, but these things keep creeping into the news. So I guess we can't say that for a whole lot longer. Hello, and how is everybody? Mm, stretch. I've been walking so much today, it feels weird to sit down. I think I walked for almost 3 hours today. An hour and a half with my running shoes on, and an hour and 5 minutes with no shoes on, which gets a lot of attention in the neighborhood. All kinds of attention you can't even imagine. All right, let me try to get comfortable in my chair. There's one person here. Who is it? Is it David or is it Kathy? So, hello and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. And I didn't even have to mess with my camera this time. It must be a before Christmas miracle. Okay. Susan. Hello, Susan Tremont. How are you? How's California treating you? Yes. They say, you're starting to get attention when you get trolls. So I guess this channel is starting to get attention because I went back. As you guys know, I interact with you for the first couple of minutes. And then when I turn into my Oracle self, I stop interacting and looking at what's going on out there. Oh, yeah, the weather is absolutely perfect here. It's a dream. It's like 78 degrees during the day and 50 degrees at night. Wherever it's like this year round, sign me up for that. I know Ecuador is like that year round. So, hello, Jane. How's it going? So today we're going to talk a little bit about some more fear mongering, right? Some hype and fear mongering around October 4th. Oh yeah, you're in California as well. All my audiences. Wait, no, Jane, you are not. You are in New Mexico, I believe. Hello, Renee. Hello, David. Oh, David, you beat Kathy here again. What is going on with you guys? So, there was a lot of hype and fear mongering around the September 23rd date as well. So, if you haven't heard that hype and fear mongering, I haven't. I only actually heard it from some of you guys. And then I did what I always do and went internal. Yeah, New Mexico. That's what I thought. For a second, I was like, California, no. But yeah, so I went inside to check on that date. If you haven't seen that video, I seriously suggest that you do, because once again, in our inverted reality, they take any magical date where we, the people, can affect a lot of change on this planet, and they then reverse the meaning. So if you haven't seen the first hype and fear mongering video about the September 23rd date, definitely go back and check out that reading as well. Okay, so hype and fear mongering, not about September 23rd this time. Now it's about October 4th, okay? And life is just a movie. But in this movie of life, you are going to be better served by paying attention. Now, we know, and we've known for a really long time, that there's a lot of military action going on behind the scenes, right? This is something that many of us have been in the know about probably for the past decade. I made a comment, I think it was in the last video or two, I've made a lot of videos recently, that whatever military movement you're seeing above ground is just a distraction from the actual military movements going on underground, where they have the tram, the railway system that's underground. They also have, I don't even know what it's called, but they have submarines and all kinds of things that just go like right below the crust, is the only way I can describe it. So there are tunnels and channels and all kinds of things. So we almost never need military to be above ground unless you happen to see that military action when it's hitting above the ground. Okay, so that's what I want you to know. Anything that you're seeing on the surface of the planet militarily is a cover up for what's going on below us, okay, or within the water. Um, let's remember they have technology that's way more advanced than anything they're actually admitting to. Oh, Kathy, hello, and thank you for joining us. So this video is going to be about the hype and fear mongering around the date of October 4th and how life is just a movie. Okay. So before I want to get into this, you guys know I don't watch a whole lot of movies. I've been watching movies for the past week, and energetically, whatever's coming in besides the 36,000 solar flares a day, I'm exaggerating, but that's what it feels like. So there's a lot of solar flares. There's a lot of, with that solar flare activity comes a lot of simulation to the new information that's being downloaded or uploaded or coming online within our DNA. Everybody in this building for the past week has been asleep between the hours of 3 and 5 o'clock, basically. It's been amazing. And I've been laying down at 3 o'clock every day like clockwork and waking up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. So it's been totally crazy. Today was the first day that I actually shifted out of this. So what I want to talk about is what my intuition is telling me about October 4th and what I see and feel happening for the next 6 months here. And hopefully you guys can hear me and everything's going okay. Yes. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is I have known better intuitively to stay away from certain types of movies my entire life. Hence me not knowing about the September 23rd date, because I stayed away from any kind of movies with predictive programming, all the way around from aliens to governmental takeovers to whatever. Okay, so I've always been into kind of like obscure movies, and not that there was never any good mainstream movies. If you guys have never seen the movie Silver Lining Playbook, I suggest it. Silver Lining Playbook is right up there with one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely incredible. That being said, that I don't watch that many movies. I've had a really hard time sleeping. I am perhaps picking up on other people's anxiety, and it's affecting my sleep pattern. And as much as I have been outside and working out and doing all this stuff, I should not have any problems sleeping. However, I do pick up on other people, especially when I lay down to go to sleep and I'm super quiet. Last week, I heard and felt someone sitting on my bed crying so hard that it was like trying to understand them was like trying to understand a kid who's just had an accident, and they're crying so hard and they're trying to tell you what happened, but they can't get the words out, or they're getting the words out, but you can't understand the words. So I've had a lot of this the last week. And so to distract myself, I've started watching movies when I lay down to go to sleep. I have YouTube on my television in my bedroom, so whatever's free, comedy, and that's really the only thing I'll watch. So to start this out, I want to say that intuition can sometimes seem like a really strange thing, especially when it comes to our personal lives. Sometimes for me, I know it's been easier for me to get on here and say all kinds of astronomically out there stuff about what's going on with the sun or underground military, but then be a little less believing when it comes to personal information coming into me that pertains to my physical reality, right? So easier to trust the big crap on the macrocosmic stage in our section of the universe than it is to believe that some of these things that I see, that I feel, that I hear are going to come into my reality. So that is one of the reasons why I had started watching movies for the last couple of days. Now, when they're going to do movies, right? You want chemistry, especially, in certain kind of movies, you want chemistry between the two lead characters, whether it's males, females, whatever. Relationship wise, you want chemistry, right? So when they do movies, they will do screen tests to see what the chemistry is going to be between two main characters, right? Before they decide how they're going to make a movie. Now, when you're watching a movie, and let's say it's like Julia Roberts and Nicolas Cage, I don't think they've ever done a movie together, but my point is you see two famous people like that, and for me, it can be a little less believable because you're like, yeah, Julia Roberts is married, yeah, Nicolas Cage is married, but they're not married to each other, so it makes it for me a little less believable. Um, for me, though, most movies I can watch 5 minutes and I know exactly what's going to happen, pretty much how the diagram's going to be laid out and access, stuff like that. So movies are not that exciting unless they're unpredictable for me. That's part of my personality. Okay. So, in saying that, I was watching this movie and I don't even know what it was called. And it was not, it was really really heartwarming and eye-opening story about this lady living the corporate life and being in an unhappy marriage or whatever, and like leaving her partner, which you don't find out till halfway through the movie that she's married, and you know. So the interesting part about this movie is, so these main characters, right? She's the main character, the female corporate American slayer of the of the world. I don't know if it was a law firm or whatever. So top of her class, and then the other character, the male character, was a cab driver. Okay, and so this interesting dynamic between this between this cab driver and this businesswoman, right? And the thing that was so incredibly weird, and first I want to say that I didn't recognize this actor or this actress. So for me, that made things a little bit more believable. Now I'm just telling you how it can be that we doubt our intuition. So I'm watching this movie, and there was no romantic action between these first two characters in the movie, the cab driver and the lady of corporate America. Okay, there was no flirting, there was no touching, there was no nothing. But from the start of the movie all the way to the end, I kept thinking, "Oh my God, this couple is really, really in love." And it's so strange because I kept telling myself over and over again that it's just a movie. It's just a movie. These two people are not really in love with each other, Tina. It's just a movie, right? Just like I doubt my own intuition, right? About my personal stuff, not about anything on the world stage. Okay. It's all the minutia that is my physical life and what is coming into being that I'm seeing, feeling, and hearing that I sometimes doubt. So the entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, wow, these two people are really, again, there's no, kissing, no flirting, no nothing. But the entire movie, I keep thinking, man, this couple is so in love. It's so beautiful to watch, right? And so I keep telling myself the entire time that this is just a movie. I'm about to fall asleep, and finally the movie is over, and the character cast list starts to roll by, and guess what? I was right the entire time. I don't, like I said, I don't, these are not popular actresses or actors, at least that I know of, but I'm minimal on the movies, so maybe they are. However, my, feeling the entire time that this couple was really in love, the movie's over, right? And the names roll by, the two main characters, and they're married. So I'm saying that because I knew the way I could tell with the energy between these two people that they were actually in love with each other. And I just kept telling myself, it's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's not real, Tina, right? But it was real, and I knew it was real. So if you feel a connection with someone and you're struggling to believe in the past, future, or present tense, is it real? I will tell you, you know. And it actually made me laugh because of all my, I shouldn't say all of my, but we go into those moments of comparing what is in physical reality to what we hear, what we feel, what our intuition is telling me. And my intuition was telling me these people were in love with each other. And I just kept telling myself, no, it's a movie. And so they were in love, they were married, they were a couple. I don't know how they got this gig together. Maybe they produced it too. I don't know. But my point is in saying when you have that kind of emotional connection to someone, you know it, you feel it in every fiber of your existence that it's real. And if I can recognize on the television screen a couple that's actually married, then surely that should give me the confidence to believe in the things that I feel, see, and hear, even though they're not quite in physical reality. Okay. Now, speaking of not quite in physical reality, this is a really amped up time frame. The fall always is. So we have the fall equinox on the 23rd, and all of that information is on the video titled September 23rd. So I don't want to go back into that. Now let's go into October. Let's start off with the hype and fear mongering about October 4th of 2023. Okay. Let's first look at numerology. What does 10 mean? 10 means completion, it's time. And what does 4 mean? 4 means I have a plan. There is some sort of action, some sort of plan. In this case, it very much feels military to me. So 10-4, time, which is also about destiny, but it tells us that it's time for structure, for a plan, and for action. And I feel very deeply that this is connected to military action. Okay. So the question is then, what are we looking at and what can we expect at this time? So 10-4, change. 10 in numerology and also tarot refers to cycles of time. Okay, so it refers to the clock, it refers to the calendar, it refers to 12,000-year cycles, 25,000-year cycles, whatever. So cyclically, it's saying 10-4, October 4th, it's time for change. Okay, and this is positive change, not negative change. Okay. And, usually when there's positive change, we see all kinds of hype and fear porn and whatever else referring to that same date to throw us off track of our intuition. Like me watching these two people in love and saying, Tina, it's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's not real. It's time for change. 4 represents solidarity, solidity, I'm sorry, stable, grounded plans in 3D reality, taking shape, taking form, making a plan, taking action. So October 4th in numerology and tarot says it's time for stability. It's time for action. It's time for a plan. And again, I will tell you that this very much feels like military to me. So let me start with that. 10-4 in CB talk or communication, 10-4 means affirmative. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. So this whole 10-4 thing that's going around, the hype and the fear mongering is that FEMA and the FCC are corresponding a test to the National Emergency Broadcast. Okay. Now, those of you that are not new to this rodeo know that there has been talk for a really long time about when militarily something is about to go down, they're going to make an announcement and they're going to do it over the National Emergency Broadcast System. I started hearing these messages back in 2018, and it went something kind of like this. There is a military action going on. We request that the public, that the people who are civilians, stay in their houses. There's a plan. We have everything under control. Now, whether it's completely under control or not, I'm sure, is up for debate. But that is what I've been hearing since October, fall of October, about the start of this emergency broadcast system. Now, once again, just like the 9/23 date, I only know about this October 4th date because my neighbor had briefly given me a synopsis about FEMA and the National Broadcast Emergency System. Okay, so 10/4/2023 is FEMA and the SCC coordinating a test of the National Emergency Broadcast System. Okay. Now, there's all kinds of hype and all kinds of fear mongering regarding this, but I want to tell you what's coming through for me about this. I also, before I get into that, want to go into the lunar eclipse, which is October 14th. So 10 days after this supposed emergency broadcast system. Now, I want to tell you how appropriate that is. I am not an astrologist, and I mention this probably in at least every other video that I'm not an astrologist, okay? But when I feel stuff, when I feel certain things, I may look up and see what is coming astrologically and connect that to the information that I'm getting. Okay, so let's remember 10/4 is the radio signal or an SOS or CB connection to say affirmative, yes, I can hear you. Okay, so this is a test to see if the world can hear. That's the first thing I want you to know. Now, before I go into that, I want to talk about this solar eclipse. Okay, so I'll make it super, super basic for you. Anytime we have an eclipse, what it means symbolically, physically, spiritually, etherically, is that whatever is in the dark, swept under the rug, behind closed doors. Eclipse means coming to light. So whatever's been swept under the rug, done behind closed doors, etc., that is what's coming to light. Okay, so eclipse means to bring to light, to shed light on. Now, what are we shedding light on? We're shedding light on everything that's been in the dark, that's been in the shadow. Okay, so on a personal level, and some people will be affected by this more than others. So this is in Libra, and right now our South Node is in Libra, meaning our past, what we should be leaving behind is the Libra energy. That is negotiating, taking one for the team, doing something I don't really want to do. Okay, that's the past. That's the South Node. The North Node is in Aries. Aries is about action. Aries is about me, me, me. What do I want? Or on the world stage, what do we as a people want? Okay, so this eclipse on October 14th, 10 days after the fun little simulation from the FCC and FEMA, we have an eclipse in Libra. So that means eclipse, since eclipse means to shed light on or give information or bring that which is dark to the surface, to the light, that you may already be feeling this energy right now if you are energy sensitive. But the reason why this video is titled My Next 6 Months Prediction is because whatever comes to light in an eclipse is what affects us most on this planet for the next 6 months. Okay, so the more, it doesn't have to be your sun sign, but the more Libra, the more Aries, the more Capricorn, and the more Cancer you have in your chart, especially under 16 degrees, but it doesn't really matter. This is affecting everyone. But the more Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, and Aries you have in your chart, the more you will be affected. So on a personal level, that means whatever you have kept in the dark in your personal life, okay, is coming up to the surface. Now, to understand what is coming to the light, we only need to look at where the eclipse is, okay? So the eclipse is in Libra. So what's going to be coming to the light is what it means to be in the energy of Libra, right? It's balancing the scales of justice. So let's start with that. And that should give you a whole, probably intuitive spark of your own in your own mind over there about what is coming here. Because again, this countdown is talking about military action. That's what I feel. So the eclipse in Libra, October 14th, means we are highlighting anything in the dark, in the shadows. It's all going to come to light. Now, on a personal level, we're talking about your jobs, your friendships, your relationships, your marriages, your business partners, anything that's been kept in the dark. Okay. It's not, again, it's not stuff you already know about, right? Or that you already see. It's whatever you have been suppressing, holding on to, negotiating, peacemaking, taking one for the team. Okay. Because it's really significant that our South Node, or the energy in our passing, is the Libra scales of justice, right? While we also have this eclipse in Libra. So for your personal life, you're going to expect things to rise to the surface, and those things will be around justice, around balance, around fairness, around equality. Okay, so in other words, if you're in a relationship and that relationship is not fair, it's not just, it's not equal, that will be what's rising to the surface. Okay, I'm just giving into this on a personal level. It's going to affect everyone on a personal level. It's going to affect everyone on the world stage level as well. Anything in the dark, okay, anything in the shadows, maybe that you're trying to hold in, your work's trying to hold in, the government's trying to hold in, the shadow government's trying to hold in, your ex-wife's trying to hold in, that's what's coming to the surface. And it's coming for this to the surface for justice, okay? So justice in the tarot is not about, okay, somebody did me wrong and I, Tina Ham, I'm going to get this other person back. This is universal justice. This is cause and effect, okay? And that's really important for you to know. So this eclipse in Libra, what is going to be shown to us on the world stage is everything in the shadow of injustice, okay? Again, world government, shadow government, military action, medical suppression, anything that in the anything that is the shadow side, that is, let's say, for example, the medical establishment is trying to do this, this, and this, and then they have all this stuff that they're keeping in the dark. That's going to rise to light. The government, the shadow government, whatever is going on this planet, militarily, financially, all of that that's been done in the dark or done in secret, swept under the rug, that's what's rising to the surface for justice. Now we know we've waited for this for a really, really long time. And every time I do personal tarot for you guys in the last couple weeks, the justice card keeps resurfacing over and over and over again. So on a personal level, in your personal life, things coming to light, okay? The shadow of yourself. Maybe you're not married, or maybe you work from home and you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a business partner, okay? Doesn't mean this is not applicable to you. Simply means, like for me, for example, without a business partner, without a life partner, what would be coming up for me would not necessarily be in the dynamic, but would even be the shadow of self, what I've tried to sweep under the rug or ignore, or whatever, and also the people that I'm dealing with. So this is about things coming to light for the reasons of justification, equality, cause and effect, and karmic retribution. Okay. And you are not going to experience this personally unless you're one of those four signs: Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries. And I don't mean just like your sun sign, I mean in your chart, period. Okay, I have 2 placements in Libra in my chart. So this will be a little bit stronger for me than maybe some of you. But actually, I have 3 or 4 Libra friends, and actually they're all born in 1966, and they're all born between October 5th and October 11th. So go figure. I know many of you are going to be experiencing this. The more planets, the more placements in Libra that you have when you were born, the more strongly you're going to feel this. Okay, same with those other placements. So personal things rising up from the surface for justification, for equality, for fairness, for balance. Okay, this could even talk about lawsuits. Okay, I think you get the personal gist. Now let's talk about this on the world stage. What are we expecting on the world stage? And again, even though you and I might be feeling this energy right now, we still have, like, I don't know, 20 days or something until this eclipse in Libra on October 14th. But on the world stage, we can expect the energy that's starting now to crescendo and be causing all kinds of effects. And let's look at this judicially. We're talking judicial effects, okay? Cause and effect, rewriting laws. And again, it's not just me seeking justice against the person, or, and again, in your personal reality, in your personal 3D experience, it could very much be that. But now I'm talking about on the world stage, what is going to be coming to light. It's going to be things that revolve around justice. Okay, so that's what's going to be. We can expect things to rise to the surface around justice, within the justice system itself, and things that have been unjust to the people. That's what I want you to know. Again, eclipse means to shine the light on. That is that which is hidden, or that which is the shadow. Okay, and this is going to be for the next 6 months. So that means you're going to see all kinds of things coming out that have tried to be, that are universally not fair, okay, for people, for sentient life, for the planet, okay? So judicial things, actually court hearings, whatever, that'll be part of it. Adjudication will actually be part of it. And the theme evolves us around us being independent from those who wish to usurp the control and manipulation on the planet. Okay, so October 4th, FEMA and the FCC doing their national broadcast emergency situation. Okay, so just like September 4th or September 23rd, I did not look at anything in physical reality. I went into the state that I always do, and I did the things and used the tools that I always do to bring you this information, that which is October 4th, 2023. Okay, and this is what I'm here to tell you. Okay, this emergency broadcast system, despite everything else they're saying, is literally just an emergency broadcasting thing. So if you're expecting something amazing and wonderful to happen on that day, it's not going to happen. If you're expecting something catastrophic to happen on that day, that's also not going to happen. So that's the good news. What I want to tell you is this is military action, but it is a neutral military action that is setting us up for what's to come. Because when I ask about October 4th, I get that this is a countdown. Okay, so what I mean by that is the reason for the FCC and FEMA to run this broadcast on October 4th of 2023 is because they are simply testing the emergency broadcast system. But do not be fooled. They are doing this now for a very specific reason. And let's go back again to the energy of justice, divine will, karmic retribution, bringing things to light, and adjudication on a world stage. So this is what I'm predicting for you. And I'm telling you, this is what this is about. Okay. So what I'm saying, in case I'm not being clear, because when I go into this mode, sometimes I go around in circles, and I'm aware of that. And I have to tell myself, slow your butt down. Right. So October 4th, 2023, FEMA and the FCC are running something. And if you are feeling this is very important, you would be right. But this is about the countdown to what's really actually happening. Okay. So I did say that since 2018, I've been seeing militarily all kinds of strategic movement. Now, when I said before previously that they have underground systems, so there's no need for us to really see any military action above the ground other than a distraction. Okay, so keep that in mind when this stuff starts rising to the surface from now until, let's see, that would be November, December, January, February. I'll say it's going to go on until next March. That's my prediction. That's what I'm seeing. So, what this October 4th thing is it really is just a test. Okay. So, there may be some other things involving that. But the reason for this test is because we are counting down. Wow, my lights changed colors when I said that from red to green back to white. We are counting down to some sort of adjudication on the world stage, okay? And this countdown is about us being independent from the system, independent from the fear from the system. So it's about us being independent from, again, the control and manipulation in the third dimension, but also being free and independent in our own selves and in our intuition, and knowing that we do not have to be stuck in this self-imposed prison of thinking that they're constantly going to do something, they're constantly going to, cause mayhem on this planet. Yes, that is their intention. Do not get me wrong. I am not telling you that they are not here to usurp manipulation and make all kinds of crazy things happen. But they only really have two things left. Okay. One is weather manipulation, and the other thing is that they still have control over the broadcasting systems and social media. And that would be all broadcasting systems and all social media. So October 4th really is about connecting to making sure that everyone is connected for this future thing that's going to happen. And I'm telling you, it is a countdown to our independence from fear, our independence from this system itself. Okay. So at the root of this October 4th thing is just telling us this is a countdown to our freedom. Okay. I've got the final countdown song running in my head. Okay. This is a countdown to our freedom. And the countdown to our freedom involves military action, and it involves adjudication. It involves executive orders. It involves all kinds of things like this. But when this emergency broadcast comes through, whether that's a couple days later, a couple months later, whatever, it is good news manifesting in physical reality. So if you've been any part of this little underground media circus thing for a while, you know that we've been hearing things about the financial system changing and the military changing and all these things changing for decades and decades and decades, right? It's been a long, involved plan that really hit pen and paper in a 3-ring binder, and seriously, in the 80s, okay? This is how long they have been working on and implementing this plan, is since the 80s. Okay, so it's a really long, drawn out plan. My point is, we've been hearing things about all these changes for forever, but have we seen them? And we all know the answer to that is no. So some of us are tired of waiting. Some of us are burnt out. Some of us feel like it's the unicorn that was promised on Christmas that just never came 3 years in a row. What I'm saying is, it's it's a plan for the long haul. It's not anything that could be done overnight. It's not anything that could be done in 2 years. This plan was put into motion in the 80s. It is a military plan, and when that emergency broadcast gets used, it's going to be to deliver good news. Not good news of hopium, not good news about somebody's emotions or somebody's psychic vision of what they saw, not somebody's thoughts about what they think is coming. Solid, tangible, physical, 3D proof of good news. Now, what this good news pertains to is a military action that's been going on behind the scenes for, I'm getting 60 to 70 years. Okay, so we have a tendency to think, well, so and so is a good person, so they're putting out pertinent information, or they're putting out the honest truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But you guys have to remember, that'd be like talking smack in the middle of a chess game to the person on the other side of the table from you. Now, several of you have been in the military, and I know that you know, whether it's a chess game or some underground military thing that's going on that's about to go down, you don't talk about it. Okay, you don't talk about a military plan in the middle of military plan. So what I'm getting is, this is the countdown in which we are going to see judication evolving and revolving around the fact that we are going to be single, independent, and financially stable, without the manipulation, without the greed, without the constant fear mongering about dates every couple of weeks. This is good, tangible, positive, exciting news come to physical manifestation, physical fruition. Now, I'm bringing this to you psychically. I'm telling you this is my prediction. So I'm not saying, just because someone is saying intuitively or psychically, this is what I feel like is happening, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean that, the person is wrong, right, and different. Doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you is, it's very important to understand this part. The things that we've been hearing about, this 60, 70-year military plan, that is what is going to be tangible. That is what is going to be seen. And I believe we start seeing that. That's why I'm calling this video my 6-month prediction, within the next 6 months, because again, whether you believe in the power of it or not, you can look back historically over things that have come to light during eclipses. Okay, so depending on where that eclipse is, depending on where it's telling you, that is going to come through to you. Okay, so let's say, for an example, like this eclipse was in the sign of Scorpio. Okay, so that would be occult stuff coming to life. Okay, but because it's in Libra, we're talking about balance. We're talking about the judiciary system. We're talking about the financial system. We're talking about all things governed here in physical reality, by the laws of cause and effect, by the laws of karma, making things equal, making things balanced, and making things just. Now, the reason why there's so much secrecy around everything is, again, you don't disclose the game in the middle of the game. Okay, so in military strategy, when they talk about keeping something close to your chest, if you guys, and I was just totally enthralled with this show on Netflix called, I believe it's called Washington's Spies. It was called Turn Washington Spies. And it was just freaking, as a Scorpio who knows how every show and every movie's so predictive and it's going to go, Turn Washington Spies was a freaking incredible series. Okay, so what I'm saying is, we can't turn the spies right now. Okay, so if there is information, let's say if there's information flooding social media, okay, flooding the airways, the television, whatever it is, if there is something that's mainstream, that's getting around to everybody and everything, it's not the truth right now. We're not in the place militarily, and we haven't been for the last 4 years, but right now it's coming to a crunch. Again, I'll remind you, they have weather manipulation tools, they have their spying tools. That's about what they've got. Okay, they can spy on us personally. As I've said many times, the looking glass technology is already gone. Okay, so this is good news coming to physical fruition. Things that we've heard about, read about for decades, that have been talked about militarily coming to fruition. Okay. Um, for those of us who knew about this when we were really young, this seems like really far out, really distant horizon. Like, is this ever going to happen? Papa Smurf, how much further, Papa Smurf, kind of thing. Okay. But now I asked, what is the underlining energy of what's about to happen? Which, again, the next 6 months, I'm saying judication. Okay. So court cases, litigation, executive orders about what? About our freedom, about being single from the fear and manipulation, which puts us in alignment not only financially with great fortune, but with peace and equality and just relaxation time. Okay. And great fortune is not just about money, it's about being peaceful and living the life that we've already always wanted to live. Okay. That's what's coming. That's why they're doing this military test. Okay. And I'm not saying this is coming in on October 4th. I'm saying they are legitimately with the FCC and FEMA running this. Now, if it was anything, I don't really know the negative things they're saying. My neighbor told me very briefly about us being connected to some spyware where they can watch us all the time. They're already doing that, so that's a big bunch of shit. Okay, so whenever they're promoting something, it's usually the opposite of what they're promoting, even if the subject matter or the situation around what they're promoting is true. Okay, so hopefully that's not confusing. So the gist of this is adjudication, court cases, litigation, executive orders involving us being single, independent, and free from this corruption. Okay, now the underlining situation here, again, it's military. Okay, it's of the highest honor. I don't know any other way to say that. I've obviously not been in the military. Nobody in my family has ever really been in the military. Don't really never subscribe to that whole we must fight our neighbors kind of thing. Okay, um, so take militarily what I say with a grain of salt. I'm just giving you what my intuition's giving me about the next month, 6 months. There is going to be a major awakening, a major realization, and a major shock to this, not just to this country. Okay, this is about this entire planet. It's an awakening. Now, this is an awakening that has to do with the bullshit meter going off, things that we had felt or picked up on that weren't right. Okay, because again, Libra eclipse. Okay, what's unfair, what's unjust, what's unbalanced. Okay, but at the root of this is a real and abundant, out of the blue, very shocking, very high ordered, high military, top of the military down, high honor, right? Like and the thing is, when you're up on the front lines or in the midst of something happen or when something's about to happen in the front lines of war, the way war was in Washington's time, a lot of times, you can't see with cannon, with cannon fodder and smoke and grenades and mustard gas and all this stuff. So this is telling me that even if we can't see what is exactly the truth, we're going to have to feel into this and we're going to have to connect into this, because it is not being done against the people. This is a shakeup. This is the fall of the establishment being done in the highest of honor. Okay, so we're talking about military success here. Now, what's underlining the fact that these things that we've heard about for a long time, or maybe some of you haven't heard about them in a long time, but the equality, fairness, duplication of the financial system, the military, the medical system, all these things that we've heard about, the underlining energy where this is coming from is a need to reset. And I don't like to use that word reset because it's been overused. And I always have in my mind, like tonight at midnight, there's going to be a reset, right? And here's your 1-800 number. They've been doing that for forever. So I don't mean that. But I mean a literal reset where the planet as a whole says, after this information came to light, after we have found out that there's been some sort of military plan on the horizon for 50, 60 years, that's how long it's taken this to come to manifestation, to fruition. There's just going to be this energy where everybody feels carefree. I can do what I want. I can look at my intuition and say, wow, I was really right about this, despite what I heard on the news, despite the fear mongering. And that can be both sides of the news. Okay. So that could be the mainstream media. That could be the underground media as well. And if you're watching that stuff, you have to remember again, it's military. So even somebody with the best of intentions and somebody that has good military intel, they're not going to be able to drop it all. They might be able to drop a little bit and bury it in other things. And that's why I say we really have to pay attention to how much of this we're subjecting ourselves to, because it may be necessary for you to watch a 2 or 3 hour video from, I don't know, Cliff High, or I don't know why that name even came to my mind, or somebody like that. You may have to sit to 2 or 3 hours of a podcast to get to little things. They're going to be buried nuggets of information, okay? But again, this is a military action that went into the books in like the 80s, okay? It's taken a really long time. It's lost lives. There's been a whole lot that's really gone on here for a very long time. So the energy of us receiving this good news that there has been this strategy, this thing that's been going on behind our backs, underground, everything else like that for a really, really long time. People, when they find this out, it's going to be a reset in the way that it resets the trust in humanity. It resets the trust that there are good people. It resets the trust that I can be carefree and live my life the way I want to without being controlled and manipulated and all these other things by some faction, some very small faction on the planet that believes they are the answer, that they believe that they are God in the sense that they can play God with people, with money, with what's fair. Okay. Now, I'm going to end after I say this because I'm trying to keep my videos under an hour, right? But this is the last thing I'm going to say. There's a lot of things that are going on militarily that I'm pretty sure that you guys are not aware of. And I'm going to share with you something I saw about 2 years ago. So about 2 years ago, I saw that there were ships landing at military bases in the dark. That part is not going to be a surprise to you, but here's what they were doing. Again, I'll tell you that what militarily you see above the ground is a distraction. Now, the only time they're ever going to have military in the streets is if there's something going on right in your neighborhood and they need a tank or police or whatever. But again, whatever you're seeing on the surface is a distraction from what's going on below you. Now, I want to show you, this is what I was shown, and I want to tell you what I was shown, I believe it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. I saw that that spaceships were landing at military installations. They were getting out, they were going into these bases, and through holographic technology, they were replacing people. Okay, so let me tell you just what this looked like, that this was a vision that I had. This looked like a spaceship landing at a military installation, them going in, shutting down the computer system just for a couple seconds, bringing it back up, and then let's say that I was there. Let's say that I worked at this military base, okay? So what they were doing was they were scanning me holographically, okay? And then they were replacing. Now, again, I'm not talking about me, but I don't know any other way to explain this. They were taking what I looked like, my physical essence, the sound of my voice, whatever, and they were scanning it. They were copying it, making a copy holographically, and then replacing me and all the other staff that were there if they weren't on board with the plan. Okay, that's the best way I can say it. So they were landing, they were going to military installations, and they, let's say there was like 3 or 4 people at the helm in that particular military installation. They would, if someone was going to be part of this plan, which has again been planned out for a really long time, then they were left there. Okay, but if they weren't, let's say I'm one of the people that, let's say I had no awareness of the plan, or I wasn't part of the plan, or I didn't want to be part of the plan, or they couldn't trust me or whatever. Okay, so they scan me, they get my voice, they get my holograph, everything, and then they turn that system back on. And so to whoever's on the other side of that fence, on the other side of that video camera, on the other side of that surveillance goes, oh, okay, it's still, Colonel Hammond, right? It looks like Hammond, it sounds like Hammond, it's Hammond, okay? And this is what they were doing. Now, then what I saw them doing after they switched out the people, they took the other people that were being switched out that weren't part of this plan, and they were running them in an underground tram to another location, okay? And some of those people, so there is some sort of high military action at this installation where they were replacing people with the people who knew the plan and were able to pull the plan off, but then making them look like me or making them look like the normal staff holographically with voice technology, if that makes sense. Then they would take the people that weren't part of that plan and they would move them to another station to do another job that was less important or something. And they were getting on this underground like tram system, and then they were going to the next place, shutting down the system, taking out the people, copying the people holographically, the sound of their voice, everything else. So they're shoveling around people, okay? So they're infiltrating. Now, part of this is other factions of military that's been shifted in. So some of this is them taking, looks like some of them are actually even retired. So let's say they go in, they may even take people in there that are retired Army, and they're taking them to a naval base, for example. They're taking people then from naval bases who are not in compliance with or not working on that underground plan and shift them to another location. Okay, so they're swapping. What I'm telling you, what I saw was they're swapping around military, like Army could be going Navy, Navy could be going Marines, whatever, because some of these people, lots of them are older people, okay, and they're scanning them and using them as projectors. And the reason that they're doing that is because the military has been infiltrated to the point that it's mostly those working in accordance with this 50 or 60-year-old plan. Those who are not in the know or in compliance are being shuffled out, is what I'm telling you, and replaced. Now, those people at the very top, in some cases, are not being shuffled out, hence them copying the sound of my voice, the way I look and everything else, so that when they call my particular military installation, they don't know that anything's up because they think they're still looking at Tina, talking to Tina. I hope this makes sense. And they are shuffling people underground to other military installations to make sure they can pull this off. Okay? as quickly as possible. Now, I saw this 2 years ago, so I'm usually somewhere between 24 hours and 6 months ahead, sometimes a little further. This was 2 years ago. When I saw it 2 years ago, it wasn't like, here's the future plan. It's like there were people landing, being scanned, and then other people taken on some sort of underground tram systems, the best way I can describe it, to another location. And they were just being told that, they were having to be transferred for whatever reason. Okay. These people that are being taken out and replaced were not privy with a reason. They're being taken out and replaced. Okay. This military action has to do with the highest of honors. And I know it may not look that way, and I know it may not feel that way, okay? But this is what is coming. And when it comes down to, there's always been a little bit of retaliation. The last couple of years, the retaliation has come specifically through the medical establishment, and the weather manipulation, okay? Because those are the things that they have left. So we need to stop buying into this big catastrophe of what they are capable of doing, okay? And I'm not saying that they don't have some very hellacious things planned. But as I said, and please go back and watch that September 23rd video if you haven't, they're relying on you and I and the rest of the population to keep indulging and overindulging in social media platforms so that we get that information in our brain and send that signal, that image, that message, that scary thing to come back to the collective consciousness so they can steer this in the direction they want to. This is a literal military countdown. October 4th is a broadcast of the emergency situation, right? But it's a test. It's only a test. But this is what's to come. And I've just told you what I feel is coming for the next 6 months. Okay. Adjudication, lawsuits, fairness, equality, power to the people, independent from all this bullshit. Okay. That's going on. This has been a plan for a really long time. So there you go. Yes, Kathy, the art of war. Hello, Libra girl. Okay. That's interesting. Sometimes, and I know you guys, I always tell you guys that I read your comments later, but actually today you did not make any comments after that mark when I don't look at comments. So, so wow, that's pretty amazing. Like literally nobody said anything after I got into the information. That's perfect. Because I'm always so tempted to look over there and I do, and I get distracted. And dang it, I did it again, 100 million hour video, an hour and 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay, I'm out of here. Peace, love, joy. Okay, do not get caught up in the hype. This is about good news. And I'm not saying it's good news in a couple of days. I'm saying it's good news coming. And thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. If you are interested in doing a reading or any other services I offer, I think you know what those services are. And I'm pretty sure you know how to get a hold of me because most of you do. All right. Peace, joy, love.